Hello and welcome back to the Skin Philosophy Edit with myself, Anna Louise, and today we have the lovely Grace with us. Grace is amazing at social media marketing and has an unbelievable position at the moment where she is content creator for Steven Bartlett, who is obviously growing massively with his podcasts and stuff like that as well, and is huge himself with social media marketing. So we're very lucky to have her on to help us for advice for social media marketing with the businesses that we have. So thank you, Grace, for coming.
Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, it's great. It really is, because social media marketing is such a maze and it's constantly changing and you don't know what the rules are and everything like that. So to have someone of your experience and knowledge is really great. So I want to ask you, how did you get to this far, this early, this quickly? How do you think you got here?
So many different things, right time, right place, all of that stuff. But I guess it goes back to, I was studying a master's for broadcast journalism, which is like TV, radio, but also social media journalism. You know, how we get our news via Twitter and Facebook and Instagram these days, or even news alerts via apps and all of that sort of thing. And I found that section of it super interesting. I went in with the intention that I was going to be, you know, the next Newsnight presenter, the next News at 10. That was what I wanted. I've always loved that sort of thing. I've loved the fast pace that the news comes in and changes and evolves, and I love that adrenaline rush and all of that sort of thing. And then the pandemic hit and news became very all-consuming and very depressing. I don't know about you, but after the death toll count, I had to switch off all notifications,
turned it off completely.
Deleted the apps, and I was like, well, this doesn't sit very well with me anymore. So when I did, and also the other part of that was no jobs were available in terms of breaking into industry. So everyone closed their doors, everyone was in a bit of a panic. So I said, well, how on earth am I going to gain experience? I don't want to just sit here. I'm not the type of person to just sit. So I started creating my own little portfolio, which has now become The Social Climber. Is my kind of personal brand on Instagram and now also on LinkedIn. And I just thought, I'm going to make my experience myself. I'm going to help small businesses out during this time with the skills I've got in terms of promoting and marketing through social media. I kind of ditched the journalism side of it and just went straight in with social media marketing. And I offered local businesses support during this crazy time where they, you know, their shop fronts were closing and they didn't know how to reach their customers anymore. And I said, look, I can help, and also I'll do it for free for a bit because it's going to teach me a load of stuff as well. I was still learning, and I think people when they're getting started in their careers hate to hear that, to hear that I did work for free. People are like, don't work for free, never lower your rates, never work for free. I needed to gain the experience. It was an exchange of experience for me, and I gained so much by doing it. I did it for like a couple of months. It wasn't years. I worked in the pub at the same time to earn some real cash, and that's okay. I put in a little bit of temporary graft. Like, people do grafting a lot harder than me for a lot longer time. But I did a bit of free work and I gained valuable experience. I learned some lessons. I learned what worked and learned what didn't work, so that when I came to start charging clients, I had that experience under my belt. I had that portfolio to show. And that's how it all started. And I worked with a really cool variety of brands, from universities to skincare brand to all sorts. And it was such a great opportunity for me to learn and nurture my own skills and figure things out at the same time. And then I was loving what I was doing. I was freelancing. I was starting to build up some good money, some great clients. It was going really well. And then I saw this job post from Steven Bartlett, who I was aware of, but the Diary of a CEO wasn't really a thing at that point. He hadn't written any books. He wasn't a dragon on Dragon's Den. So unless you kind of really knew about him in terms of the social media world, which I was starting to come and be a bit more aware of, he wasn't really as big as he is now. So I saw this post and he was looking for a social media manager, and I thought, if I'm gonna really accelerate my career, or if I'm gonna kind of take 5 steps instead of the one that I'm currently taking at the moment, the one step at a time, if I can leap and take 5 steps instead, it's probably going to be learning from someone who's pretty senior in this space. And if I can take the opportunity to sit next to him every day and just learn, like literally just learn for the next few years, I might as well go for it. So I wasn't applying for jobs. I wasn't really looking for anything because I was quite happy with what I was doing, but I saw it as such an incredible learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So I put my I don't know, I'm terrible with phrases, I'll probably say a load of... I was literally about to say put my hat in the bag, but that's definitely not what it is. I literally do this all the time, I just make up phrases.
I was going to put your key in the bowl, but that's
Fine.
for another thing.
Perfect. We'll go with that. Anyway, I gave it a shot, I dropped my email off, and I pestered my now manager a little bit, because I really kind of saw it as this incredible opportunity, and I was like, I might as well go for it 100%, so I was messaging on LinkedIn and trying to put myself in the right position.
Okay, so this is interesting. You sent in, but then you followed up multiple times.
Yes.
See, like, things like that, like working for free, chasing down what you want, that's not good timing. That's you getting what you want.
100%. And you know what? I, to my own detriment, will often say, I probably did at the start of this.
Yes.
Right time, right place.
Yeah.
Right time, right place. Lucky.
Yeah.
All of that. There's always a little sprinkle of luck at the very top.
Yeah.
But for the last year and a half, when I've been freelancing and doing that free work and building up this portfolio, I'd got myself into the best possible position so that when this job came up, I was a great candidate.
Yeah.
But then I also went further. I found the person who was already working there. It was only a team of 4 at the time. I found his manager. I messaged him and said, look, I've applied, I haven't heard anything, and it had only been about a day. But I was like, there was something in me that just knew.
Yeah.
I just had to go for it, and I would have regretted not giving it my everything and not trying every avenue to get there.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. I'm super lucky to be able to speak at loads of graduate events and speak to younger women in particular.
Yeah.
And they'll often say, well, I've applied. And I said, well, everyone's applied. What else have you done?
Yeah.
What else have you done? We've just hired an intern for our team who's starting next week, and we didn't formally put it out, but I put it out on my channels. We had about 30 people apply, whereas when we put it out on Steve's channels, we had thousands.
Yeah.
We had about 30 people drop their name out, put their email across, and I'll be totally honest, I didn't look at any of the applications because I got tagged in a TikTok. It's a social media internship.
Yeah.
This girl had applied with a TikTok demonstrating her skills.
Yeah.
I didn't look at a single other application.
Yeah.
Because I went, perfect, she's got it. She's got the initiative to try something different and, see if it works.
Yeah.
And she then followed up with an email and followed up with a message.
Yeah.
She's got the initiative, she's got the drive, she's got it.
Yeah.
And that's what I try and, talk to young women especially about, that you can't just sit and wait.
No, and there is a certain thing of like, oh, it'll come to me if it's my path or some rubbish like this. And it's like, I really believe in what you want in life, you have to like put forward for. And if you don't, it won't come to you necessarily. And it does show a lot of where you are now is because from the very get-go of your story is, right, change, move forward, and that's what you've been keep doing, and it is a good message to send to the young ones.
I end up saying a lot of Steve's quotes because I spend so much time with him and also creating so much content with his quotes all the time. But he says the law of attraction is nothing without the law of action. Yeah. And when I heard that and I saw that, I went, that's what I've always thought, because there's definitely a part of me that saw that job, and I don't know where I stand on, manifestation and all of this sort of thing, but there was a part of me that went, I can see that, I'm going to do that, I know. But I had to put in all the stuff up to that point and all of the stuff after it to make it happen. Yeah. It doesn't just happen.
No, exactly.
And there's definitely the sense of entitlement that we're seeing with, younger people coming into the company, or when I'm talking to these grads that have this level of expectation that things are going to happen to them because they've gone to uni. We've all got, so many people have gone to university, so many people have got that piece of paper that you're never going to look at again for certain jobs. But what else have you done? Talk to me about what else you're doing to really pound those doors open. Yeah. Because they will go down eventually, and if you're going hard enough and you're building up your experience and you're doing all the right things, but that's what's worked for me. And I people often say, wow, I've just turned 26. You're 26 and you've done all this and you're stepping into a role and you're managing a team and all of this, and you're right. It's not by chance. No. It's not by chance. Yes, I feel lucky that I'm very confident and super driven, and I think they're characteristics that I've had for a while, whether that's from family or friend, wherever that's come from, my school, my education. yes, that's great, and that's probably given me a bit of a bonus, but I've made the rest happen.
Yeah, exactly. And when you said that at the start, when you were like, oh, it's all a mixture, I was like, balls. I guarantee you that's not, because also as well as you do have to, if I say to you, God, you're doing so well, you're doing so successful, there's a part of where you have to kind of play it down. You feel like embarrassed, or, oh no, like people say to me, oh, congratulations on India, and I'm like, oh, it's not happened, it's not there yet. And it's like, stop, you don't need to like play down, you can just be comfortable and go, yeah, I achieved this.
Yeah, that's definitely something like and also I'm the first person to admit that I'm still learning. Like, I'm still learning every single day. I'm hoping to learn till the day I die. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that gets me out of bed, the thing that keeps me going, the idea that I can keep getting better and keep trying and keep learning and keep educating myself and having interesting conversations. But that 100% there's an element of me that hears that and goes, oh, no, not me. Not me. Like, don't be silly. I mean, I don't think it's, like, people often go, oh yeah, imposter syndrome. No. I don't think it's imposter syndrome. Like, I'm very aware of what's going on, and I can see all of it, and I don't think I'm living in someone else's shadow. Like, I don't feel any of that. I'm sure other people do. I don't feel that, but I do want people to know that this vision of success or whatever they've got in their minds is just a work in progress.
Exactly.
I'm just a work in progress. I'm just figuring out as I go, and it's bringing some great things along the way. Like, that's all it is, really.
Yeah. And how was your first week there?
Oh my God, I can't remember. The first 6 months were the biggest blur ever. Steve sat me down and we did literally work hand in hand, side by side for the first 3 to 6 months. Sat me down on day one and said, well, you're going to start posting then? And I was like, sorry? You've got millions of followers, as if I'm just going to start posting. Like, let's talk about maybe what I should. And he goes, the quickest way you're going to learn, the quickest way we're going to figure out what works and what doesn't work is if you just start. Yeah. And I will give you very live feedback as it's going. Yeah. If it's not appropriate, if it's not right, we'll take it down. Yeah. Yeah. And it was the quickest learning curve. He said the next 12 weeks are going to be the craziest roller coaster of a ride of a learning experience for you, because you're going to learn everything. After that, we probably won't talk that much. Yeah. We talk a lot. 2.5 years later, we still talk a lot. But as a friend, as a person who we love to bounce ideas off each other. We're texting all the time and every day about new concepts and new ideas and how we can play around with it. But in terms of kind of the education piece or the kind of training, it all happened in that kind of first 3 months. Yeah. And I don't know how much I slept, probably not very much. And I remember it got to about 6 months in, and I just thought, this is phenomenal, it's fantastic. I feel like I'm leveling up in every way possible, but it's not sustainable. Yeah. Like, absolutely, this is not sustainable. And I went to him and I said, look, like, I'm loving it. I feel so grateful. We'd been probably on a load of international trips by that point. Yeah. We've been to all these different things, and the Dragon's Den had just been announced, the book had been launched, so the podcast is starting to grow. It was all starting to really kind of reap the rewards of the consistency that we'd all been putting in. But I said, I can't do this. I was managing about 7 different channels at the time, bringing out kind of trying to market different things into different markets and grow different audiences. And I said, it's not sustainable. I at some point I'm going to have to sleep or take a holiday. And he said, well, hire someone. Yeah. And I was like, what? I can hire someone? And he was like, of course. Like, the only way this grows is you now train someone else, and then I'll train someone else, and we'll grow this. Yeah. And it's that like, that was when I realised, like, the level of trust that I'd been given. Yeah. And it's something that now, as a leader, I have a team of 5, but also working in the general leadership team of the bigger company, is what is the key. I genuinely think is the key to a strong team, or the key to success. Yeah. Like, being able to give that trust, and genuine trust, not like trust but I'll kind of be watching over your shoulder. Yeah. Trust to just give it a go, because if I can teach them all of my lessons, but unless they learn them themselves, they're never going to grow. Yeah. So I have a lot of trust with my team, and Steve had a lot of trust with me, and that's something that brought a lot of respect and honesty in our communications as well, and allowed us genuinely, I think, to grow at the pace we've grown. Because if there wasn't that trust, we'd be getting sign-off on everything, and sign-off slows everything down. Maybe we'll come on to this, but like, in the world of social media, as you said at the start, not only is it a fast-paced industry, but things are changing at the speed of light. Yeah. I went to an event yesterday, we were talking about AI and the role it's playing in socials, and someone said, well, I created a deck at the beginning of April with all the updates and everything everyone needed to know for a board meeting, and the board meeting was postponed by 2 weeks. You had to entirely redo the entire deck because everything had changed so much in those 2 weeks. The pace of change right now is wild. Yeah. And if we don't have that trust, whether it's with your marketing agency or with your in-house marketing team or your social media assistant, whoever it is, they won't be able to deliver on what you're hoping for. And I see this over and over again with business owners and their marketing teams or whoever does their output, and they'll have a 2-week sign-off period, or they'll need to see everything before it goes live. Yeah. You've missed it. Yeah. You've missed the trend, you've missed the moment. Yeah. And now you're working, everyone else has done it and they're all ahead of you. Yeah. So now you're falling back. If you really want to lead and be at the forefront of the industry or the forefront of the change or whatever's happening, you need to just be giving it a go. Yeah. What's the worst that's going to happen? You have to take it down.
Yeah. And it is a good point, because it is tough first to get that balance of making sure everything looks good, because that is the aesthetics to your Instagram page, is like, you know, how everything comes up and everything, but then at the same time it needs to be on trend, on time, like getting that, like, get it out there today, this is going on, and getting that balance is quite hard. As, say, like, if you were going back to that stage where you were like just posting yourself, how were you was it just basically shove it out there and see how it goes?
I think it depends what stage you're in. Yeah. So strategy is really important. Yeah. But strategy, like the term add value, like the term, well, I don't know, algorithm hacks, like all of this doesn't mean anything unless you put it into practice. Yeah. So a strategy for you might be as simple as the research stage, looking at what your competitors are doing, so you have an awareness, not to copy, so you have an awareness, and maybe to gain some inspiration. Yeah. And then also doing research into your audience, because what we find with a lot of small businesses is they're very emotionally attached, especially when it's 1 or 2 people in the team, they're very emotionally attached. So what they end up doing is creating content that they want to see, or for themselves, as opposed to for their audience or for a new audience. Yeah. So start with your audience, start with your research. If it's as simple as then going away and going, okay, the things we're going to talk about for the next 2 months are A, B, and C. I'm going to create 10 pieces of content on A, 10 pieces of content on B, 10 on C. Put them into a little, you know, as simple as into a Google Sheets. Yeah. Put the caption, put the date you post, and then measure a couple of metrics. Yeah. If it's like, if you're at that stage, fantastic. But it doesn't matter what you're putting in unless you're measuring it to figure out what's going right and what's going wrong to then change for the next 2 months. Yeah. That's when it starts to get interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of people do strategy, like using inverted commas strategy, in terms of a posting strategy. Yeah. But it's fairly irrelevant unless you're learning from it. Yeah. Like, posting is just one part of it. Unless you are gaining some insight, gaining some learning, gaining something that worked or didn't work, figuring out as you're going, and then applying it to stage 2, it's like fairly irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just chucking stuff out and crossing your fingers and closing your eyes and hoping for the best, and that's not strategy, that's just posting. Yeah. So I think people get a bit, they leave off that last, I see it as like a never-ending circle, a never-ending ecosystem. Your research should inform your posting will give you your results, and your results will then deliver back into your learnings to then start posting again. Yeah. So it's a never-ending ecosystem, and it, you know, you can scale that up or you can scale that down depending on what resource you've got available. Yeah. But there are missing parts to people's posting strategy that is causing them to not grow. Yeah. Yeah, I think also the audience thing is really interesting, because I had a skin clinic in Barnes, and it's like you said, it's you're posting for what you would like to see, not your audience would like to see. And really, by right, I hadn't figured out who my audience was. And you kind of go, oh, I want to treat everyone. And it's like, you have to have like a niche, and you have to understand your brand, like what you're bringing and what they're going to come to you, why, like the reason why. So that will attract that type of audience. So then you have to speak to that type of audience, but making sure that it is speaking to that. And then the measuring, it's not good at that. But there are tools to help with that sort of thing, right? Yeah. So there are loads of different kind of reporting tools or social listening tools or scheduling tools that once you're in that position, start investing in that sort of level. will allow you to level up like nothing you can do manually.
Yeah.
There are some things, like even as if you're a startup or going into scale up, that I would suggest investing in, and are kind of all-encompassing scheduling through to reporting tool, like Brandwatch or Sprout Social, or even like a Hootsuite at some level, or Buffer, any of the above. Even really, really properly using Meta Studio, will help you and take that pressure off. But back to your point about, you know, wanting to speak to everyone. If you try and speak to everyone, you end up speaking to no one.
Yeah.
We all know that. But people are obsessed with this idea of going viral because they see it as the key that's going to unlock the growth. Viral can be good. Yeah. But I think a lot of the time, viral brings you in a load of unwanted eyes. Yeah. That end up actually being ghost followers. Yeah. That end up being detrimental to your engagement, which causes everything to plummet. Yeah. So it's a blessing and a curse. Like, you want to be growing steadily. Yeah. And bringing in the right kind of people and getting in front of the right audience. Yeah. Because who cares if you've got 100,000 followers and it says that on Instagram next to your name? Great. What if none of them are your potential audience? Yeah. So you've got this wasted opportunity or this wasted audience where you're actually going to have to start again because none of them are engaging with your content anyway. Exactly, and that's actually brings up a good point, is also the engagement, because then Instagram goes, you've 100,000 followers, why isn't your content must be rubbish because there's no engagement there as well. 100%. So, and that's what virality can do. So, you know, you could post an Instagram reel, it brings in a new 1,000 followers. But if that reel wasn't actually intended for your audience, you've now got 1,000 people who are bringing your engagement rate down, which causes Instagram to go, let's not show this to anyone anymore. Let's not show this page to anyone anymore. Yeah. And suddenly you're like, I've gone viral. Why is my reach down? Why is nothing reaching that anymore? It's because you're in front of the wrong people. The algorithm's gone, okay, let's show this content to those people when they're not your target audience. Yeah. And you can have 100,000 followers. You can have 1 million followers. But doesn't mean they're your customer or they're your community. Yeah. And I think people get confused by this idea of audience versus community as well. Yeah. Audience is these are just numbers. Yeah. Do you want real people in your community buying from you? Yeah. Or, you know, coming to you for advice, or coming to you and actually speaking and having conversations in the comments and engaging on your DMs and all of this stuff? That's community. Yeah. How are you growing your community? Yeah. That's what you need to be looking at. Yeah. And I do think this is like a very big part of the future is, and I see you posting about it all the time, like about community and everything like that. And it's kind of building your gang of people that will buy off you, listen to you, and how you do that. And I do find it like hard through social media to kind of, especially with, so I have a lot of the people that are students and stuff that come on the courses, they've suddenly gone from like being an accountant or being like massively different career move, and now you've to put yourself in front of a camera, you have to get your message out there, and you have to build a community of how to trust. So how do you find the best way to build a community? I know it's very big. It's hard to kind of advise generally on community, but there are a few things you can think that anyone can think about they should be kind of ticking off. One is that a community doesn't exist unless they have a place to belong. Yeah. So Instagram, unless they're, you know, are using there's going to be a new feature of the broadcast groups and all of that stuff, there will be groups and places to live. There's no place to belong. Yeah. Like there's a place to be, but no place to belong. There's no reciprocal conversation unless it's one-on-one in DMs. Yeah. They can't engage with other members of the community. Yeah. So you need to think about that. Is there a world where it turns into a WhatsApp community or a Telegram community or a Facebook page or something that allows that community to actually belong? Some of the best brands in the world, like Sephora, they're leading in community marketing. In fact, I think 90% of their marketing budget this year is going into their community marketing, and they've built it phenomenally. It's a platform attached to Sephora's website with millions and millions of active users who come in and talk about beauty things. Yeah. And they review things, they suggest things, they share imagery. The brand can then turn that into a content making machine where they use that imagery in their own marketing, using the UGC, which people buy from people. It's hugely beneficial to them, which is why they're throwing so much budget into it. But I think that's one of the really key things. Like, they've got to have a place to belong where they feel like they can come and share that sense of value and share those insights and share and discuss and get something back, because community isn't one way. Community isn't you throwing out content and them liking it. That's just like turning up onto an app. They need to have somewhere, whether it's a physical space or a social space or whatever it is, a group, a community, it needs to have a space to belong. That's what's missing a lot of the time, because people see an audience as a community, but an audience is a one-way street. You're talking to them, to them. They can't really respond, and they can't respond with each other. You should be able to step away from your community and it still thrive. The other thing is, if you're thinking about building a community, but you're only talking about your products all the time, you've got a problem. Because products are your conversion post, they're the purchase post, or whatever the service is. Like, if you're talking about the service only, or the product only, or the business only, you've got customers. You haven't even got an audience, you've just got customers, which is great. It's one thing that you need for sure. But customers, they might not be loyal, they might not come back, they might not tell their friend in the shop who's talking in person, or tell the shop owner that they found this really amazing place. They'll just come and go. A community is someone who goes to the shop, says, you need to come and talk about that, you need to get this person on, you need to talk about this, blah, 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 and spreads, and they do the marketing for you. So think about what you're posting about. Are you posting and sharing about shared values, like genuine values away from your product, that people can relate to and feel connected to, and build that sense of connection so that they are loyal to you?
See, it's hard, because you can just, like, I've only gotten it into the last couple of years, and it's easier now, but I see with the students, like, it's stand in front of a camera and talk, and you're going, well, I have to make sure it's valuable, I have to make sure I'm giving them this, and you feel you have to do, so then you just go, actually, I'll just leave it. And for me, like, I think just sit in front of the camera and start talking to them, and then you'll start to learn what people actually want to hear from you as you're doing it. But it is quite intimidating at the start.
And I don't think everyone has to be the face and talk and deliver it in that way. There are so many other ways you can share value through your community as well. There are literally, I say UGC, user generated content agencies, who you can send if you're a product-based business, send your product to. They can generate a load of content that's not necessarily product-based, but it's about, your why. So why did you start your business? You saw a gap in the education space, and you believe really strongly about education. Build your content strategy around that, so you're at the top of the funnel, you're getting a lot of eyes, you're getting a lot of people interested, and then you draw them into your service. So just think about it. I think it's just about flipping the narrative, and people often say it doesn't matter whether you're B2B, D2C, it doesn't matter what you are, people buy from people, and everyone has a story, and everyone has a reason why they're doing it. So feed into that why and share that why, because that's what people resonate with and connect with, and then they'll buy your products because they have bought into you as a business, or your business as a part of a value
your story,
value exchange. It's that sells. It's storytelling is so unbelievably powerful. But you'll go on we work with all the Dragon's Den businesses and investments who come in through Steve, and we'll look through their socials and go, all I can see is the product. If I see this is like a magazine page or like a website, I want to know who you are, why you're doing it. I want to relate to you on some level, so that I know the content I'm going to see next isn't just another advert. Because people don't like to be sold to. I mean, social media is so saturated in that sense that people see through selling. People see through influencers selling. They see through adverts because they know it feels like an advert, which is why all